The crystal champagne flute shattered in my grip, sending shards of glass and bubbling liquid across the marble floor of our family's estate. The room fell silent, all eyes fixed on my sister Nicole's beaming face as she stood in the centre of what was supposed to be my 30th birthday celebration. "I'm pregnant," she repeated, her hand resting on her still flat stomach, and Leon's the father. "My name is Saij, and this is how my perfect life crumbled in exactly 23 words." Leon, my fiancé of 2 years, stood frozen near the French doors, his face drained of colour. Our eyes met across the room, and I saw everything I needed to know in that single glance. "Saij, He started, taking a step toward me. I raised my hand, silencing him. The cut on my palm from the broken glass was starting to sting, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the hollow feeling spreading through my chest. "How long?" I asked, my voice steady despite the chaos in my head. Nicole's smile faltered slightly. "Does it matter?" "How long?" Christine, my best friend since college, appeared at my side with a napkin for my bleeding hand. "Maybe we should take this somewhere private," she whispered. "No," I said loudly, ensuring everyone could hear. "I think this is exactly the right place for this conversation. After all, what's a birthday party without some entertainment?" The gathered guests, friends, family, business associates, shifted uncomfortably. Some were already edging toward the exits, while others seemed rooted to the spot, unable to look away from the unfolding drama. 6 months, Leon finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. The timeline hit me like a physical blow. 6 months ago, I had been in Europe, overseeing the expansion of our family's business. 6 months of late-night calls where Leon claimed to be too busy to talk long. 6 months of Nicole insisting she was taking care of things at home. "Sej, we never meant to hurt you." Nicole stepped closer, reaching for my arm. "It just happened." I jerked away from her touch. "Just happened. Like accidentally burning dinner, or forgetting to pay a bill. That kind of just happened." "You were always gone," Leon interjected, finding his voice. "The business took up all your time, and Nicole was here, and we—" "And you what?" I turned to face him, my voice razor-sharp. "You thought you'd fuck my sister while I was building our future." Several gasps echoed through the room. "Good. Let them all witness this." "I think everyone should leave," Christine announced, taking charge of the situation. She began ushering guests toward the door, while I remained rooted to my spot, staring at the 2 people I had trusted most in the world. "I'll move out tomorrow," Leon offered, as if he was doing me a favor. A laugh bubbled up from somewhere deep inside me, a strange, hollow sound that made both Leon and Nicole flinch. "No need," I said, reaching for a fresh glass of champagne from a nearby server's tray. "This is still my party, after all." I raised the glass high, drawing everyone's attention. "A toast," I announced, my voice carrying across the now half-empty room. "To new beginnings, to truth, to family." I locked eyes with Nicole. "To karma." I drained the glass in one go, set it down with deliberate care, and walked toward the grand staircase. As I reached the first step, I turned back to face them one last time. "Oh, and Nicole," I smiled, the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "Congratulations. I hope it was worth it." Later that night, after the last guest had gone and the house had fallen silent, I sat at my desk with my laptop open, accessing files I'd hoped I'd never need to use. My hand, now properly bandaged thanks to Christine, hovered over the keyboard. A soft knock at the door made me look up. Christine stood there, concern etched on her face. "Are you okay?" she asked. "No," I answered honestly. "But I will be." She nodded, understanding in her eyes. "What are you going to do?" I turned back to my screen where financial records and legal documents waited for my attention. "I'm going to remind them both that karma isn't just a word you throw around at yoga class." "Sage." "Don't worry, Christine. I'm not going to do anything crazy." I closed the laptop and stood up. "I'm just going to do what I do best, take care of business." As Christine left, I caught my reflection in the window. Behind the hurt and anger, I saw something else in my eyes. determination. They thought they knew me, thought they could predict how I'd react. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Harvey's office always smelled like old leather and expensive coffee. I sat across from him, sliding a folder across his polished desk, while he reviewed the documents inside with raised eyebrows. "Are you absolutely certain about this, Saj?" He looked up at me over his reading glasses. "Once we set these wheels in motion." "I've never been more certain of anything in my life," I replied, crossing my legs. "Do you have the power of attorney papers ready?" He nodded, pulling out another set of documents. "Your father signed these over to you years ago. With these, you have complete control over the family's business interests." He paused, studying my face. "Does Nicole know about these?" My dear sister was always more interested in spending money than learning how it was made. I took the papers, scanning them quickly. She has no idea. My phone buzzed for the 20th time that morning. Leon's name flashed across the screen again. I declined the call without hesitation. "He's been trying to reach you?" Harvey asked, though it wasn't really a question. "They both have. Apparently the gravity of their situation is finally sinking in." I allowed myself a small smile. Amazing how quickly priorities change when you realize you've betrayed the person who controls your trust fund. Harvey leaned back in his chair, concern evident in his expression. "You know, revenge isn't always the answer, Sage. This isn't just about revenge, Harvey. This is about consequences." I stood up and walked to his window, looking out over the city. They made their choices. Now they get to live with them. A knock at the door interrupted us. Harvey's assistant poked her head in. "Mr. Schmidt, Ms. Nicole is here. She's quite insistent about speaking with you." I turned around, meeting Harvey's questioning look. "Perfect timing. Let her in." Nicole burst through the door seconds later, her designer handbag swinging wildly. "Sage, I've been trying to reach you for days." She stopped short when she saw the papers spread across Harvey's desk. "What's going on?" "Sister dear," I said, my voice honey-sweet. "I was just finishing up some business. You remember business, right? That thing that pays for your shopping sprees and yoga retreats?" "Cut the crap, Saj." Nicole's face flushed. "Leon told me you've frozen all the accounts. Even my personal one. You can't do that." "Actually, I can. And I did." I picked up one of the documents and held it out to her. "Maybe if you'd paid attention during all those family meetings instead of texting under the table, you'd know about this little thing called power of attorney." Nicole snatched the paper, her eyes widening as she read. This isn't fair. Daddy would never..." "Daddy did. Years ago." I took the paper back from her trembling hands. He knew exactly what he was doing when he put me in charge. "I'm pregnant, Sage. You can't just cut me off." Tears welled up in her eyes. "What about the baby?" "Ah, yes, my future niece or nephew." I sat back down, crossing my legs. "Don't worry, I'm not completely heartless. You'll receive a modest monthly allowance, enough to cover basic necessities. No more designer shopping sprees, though. I hear Target has lovely maternity wear." Nicole's face crumpled. "Why are you being so cruel?" "Cruel?" I stood up slowly, my calm facade cracking slightly. "You want to talk about cruel? How about sleeping with your sister's fiancé? How about announcing your pregnancy at my birthday party? That kind of cruel?" "I love him," she whispered. "And I loved you both." I gathered my papers, sliding them into my briefcase. "Harvey, please make sure everything is filed today. I'll be leaving town tomorrow." "Leaving?" Nicole grabbed my arm. "You can't leave. Where are you going?" I gently removed her hand. "That's the beauty of it, Nicole. I don't have to tell you anything anymore." As I walked to the door, I paused and turned back. "Oh, and you might want to let Leon know that his position at the company has been terminated. His severance package should cover a few months' rent on a modest apartment. I hear the east side of town is quite affordable." I left Nicole standing there, her mouth open in shock. In the elevator, I finally allowed myself to shake just for a moment. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Christine. "Everything okay?" she asked when I answered. "It's done," I replied, stepping out into the lobby. "Did you get the apartment set up?" "All ready for you. Are you sure about this?" I pushed through the revolving doors into the bright sunshine. Absolutely. It's time for a fresh start. Back home, I placed my letter on the dining room table where they couldn't miss it. As I packed the last of my essential belongings, I could hear Leon's car pulling into the driveway. Perfect timing. He could read it with Nicole. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about causing pain. It's about walking away and taking everything they took for granted with you. Christine's guest room had become my sanctuary over the past week. The sound of her coffee maker gurgling to life each morning was a welcome change from the deafening silence of my old house. I sat at her kitchen island, scrolling through the dozens of missed calls and messages on my phone. "They're still trying to reach you." Christine placed a steaming mug in front of me. 17 calls from Leon yesterday alone. I showed her the screen. "And Nicole's been emailing Harvey non-stop. Have you read any of them?" "Don't need to." I took a sip of coffee. "Harvey forwards me the important bits." Apparently Leon tried to access his corporate credit cards yesterday. That must have been a fun surprise at the gas station. Christine's phone chimed. She glanced at it and grimaced. "Nicole's asking me where you are. Again." "Tell her I moved to Tibet to become a monk," I suggested, managing a small smile. "Saj." Christine set her phone down. "You know you'll have to face them eventually." Before I could respond, my laptop pinged with a new email notification. The sender's name made my heart skip a beat. Marcus Stewart, CEO of our biggest competitor. "What is it?" Christine asked, noticing my expression. I turned the screen toward her. "Remember how Leon was handling our merger negotiations?" "Yeah." "Turns out he'd been feeding information to Stewart Industries for months." I opened the email, scanning its contents. "Marcus is offering to tell me everything in exchange for a meeting." "That son of a—" Christine stopped herself. "What are you going to do?" I closed the laptop with a decisive click. "I'm going to meet him." The restaurant Marcus chose was exactly what you'd expect from a CEO. Expensive, discreet, and with private booths perfect for sensitive conversations. He stood as I approached, offering his hand. "Seiji, thank you for coming." I sat down without taking his hand. "Let's skip the pleasantries, Marcus. What did Leon tell you?" He pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. "Everything. Profit margins, expansion plans, client lists." He was quite thorough. I flipped through the documents, each page making my blood boil more. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because I have a daughter." Marcus leaned back, studying me. "And if someone did to her what your sister and Leon did to you—" "Well, let's just say I understand why you're doing what you're doing." "This isn't about revenge," I started. "Of course it is," he interrupted. "But it's also about business. And that's why I'm here." He pulled out another document. "I want to make you an offer." Later that evening, I returned to Christine's place to find her pacing the living room. "Where have you been? I've been trying to reach you for hours." "Meeting ran long," I said, dropping my bag. "What's wrong?" "Nicole showed up here looking for you. She was hysterical, Saja. Leon lost their apartment. Something about the lease being in your name." "Imagine that." I kicked off my heels. "She's pregnant, Saja. Where are they supposed to go?" "They're adults, Christine. They'll figure it out." I pulled out Marcus's offer letter. "Besides, I have bigger things to worry about." Christine read the letter, her eyes widening. "Holy shit. Are you going to accept?" "I haven't decided yet." I walked to the window, watching the city lights flicker on as dusk settled. It would be the smart business move. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. I opened it and felt my stomach drop. "Remember that summer in Cape Cod," the message read. "When you made me promise to always protect you." I kept that promise until Leon. "I'm so sorry, sis." I deleted the message, but the words had already burned themselves into my memory. That summer, the last one before our parents' divorce, before everything changed, felt like a lifetime ago. "Say?" Christine's voice pulled me back. "You okay?" "I need to make some calls," I said, heading for my room. "And Christine, if Nicole shows up again, tell her I moved to Mars." Alone in my room, I pulled out my laptop and opened a new email. My fingers hovered over the keyboard as I considered my next move. The merger deal with Stewart Industries would devastate Leon's career prospects. No company would touch him after this scandal broke. And Nicole? Well, she'd learned that trust funds don't last forever. As I typed my response to Marcus, another text came through. Please, Sage. We need to talk. L. I blocked the number and hit send on the email. Some conversations weren't worth having anymore. Some betrayals cut too deep for words to fix. Besides, I had a merger to plan. The boardroom felt colder than I remembered. Harvey sat beside me as we watched the quarterly report scroll across the projector screen. The numbers weren't good. As you can see, Harvey pointed to a particularly alarming graph. Without Leon's client relationships, we've lost significant ground in the Asian market. Those were my father's clients first, I reminded him, before he handed them over to Leon. Yes, but... Harvey was interrupted by my phone buzzing. Another text from Nicole. The baby's kicking. Please call me. I switched the phone off and turned back to Harvey. What are our options? We need someone managing those accounts personally, someone the clients trust. He gave me a meaningful look. Someone like you. Before I could respond, my assistant Julia burst into the room. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Leon is in the lobby. He's refusing to leave until he speaks with you. I stood up, smoothing my skirt. Well then, let's not keep him waiting. The elevator ride down felt eternal. When the doors opened, I saw him immediately, wearing the same suit he'd worn to countless client meetings, but looking somehow diminished. You can't ignore me forever, Sage, he said as I approached. I'm not ignoring you, Leon. I'm moving on. There's a difference. I gestured to the seating area. But since you're here, let's talk. We sat across from each other, the ghost of our past hanging between us. The merger with Stewart Industries, he started. You can't do this. Actually, I can. And I am. I crossed my legs, watching him squirm. Marcus was very interested in the information you shared with him, though I suspect you didn't mean for him to share it with me. Leon's face paled. I can explain. Save it. I held up my hand. You didn't come here about the merger. Why are you really here? He leaned forward, his voice dropping. Nicole's not doing well, Sage. The stress. The doctor says it's not good for the baby. We're staying in a motel off Highway 9. And we need help. Please. His eyes met mine, pleading. Whatever you think of me, this is your niece or nephew we're talking about. I stood up, walking to the floor-to-ceiling windows. You know what I remember, Leon? I remember planning our wedding, picking out china patterns while you were fucking my sister, discussing baby names while you were starting your own family behind my back. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? I turned to face him. Explain it to me. Help me understand how you could do this to someone you claim to love. I did love you. He stood up, running his hands through his hair. But you were always working, always focused on the business. Nicole was there. She understood. Understood what? That my hard work paid for her lifestyle? For your fancy suits? I laughed bitterly. Get out, Leon. And tell Nicole to stop texting me about the baby. I'm not interested in playing happy families. As security escorted him out, Christine appeared by my side. That looked intense. Nothing I couldn't handle. I checked my watch. Ready for lunch? At our usual cafe, Christine pushed her salad around her plate. Nicole called me this morning. Of course she did. She's scared, Sage. They're running out of money and the motel is exactly what they deserve. I set down my fork. Why does everyone expect me to feel sorry for them? Because you're better than this, Christine said quietly. Because the Sage I know wouldn't let her sister live in a motel, pregnant or not. My phone buzzed again, this time with an email from Marcus. The merger details were finalized. One signature, and Leon's career would be effectively over. The Sage you knew died at that birthday party, I said, picking up my phone. Besides, I have a company to run. Back at the office, Harvey was waiting with more bad news. 3 more clients have pulled their accounts. They're asking for Leon specifically. I sank into my chair, the weight of everything finally hitting me. He built relationships with them for years. Of course they want him. There might be a way to salvage this, Harvey suggested carefully. If we brought Leon back, just for the Asian market. No, I stood up abruptly. I'll handle it myself. Book me on the next flight to Singapore. As I packed up my desk, a photo fell from one of the folders, Nicole and me at her college graduation, both smiling, both happy, before everything fell apart. My phone buzzed one last time. Doctor says it's a girl. Thought you should know. N. I slipped the photo back into the folder and grabbed my coat. Some bridges, once burned, leave nothing but ashes, and I was done trying to rebuild from ruins. Singapore's heat hit me like a wall as I stepped out of the taxi. 3 days of back-to-back meetings had left me exhausted, but I'd managed to salvage most of our Asian partnerships. My phone rang as I entered the hotel lobby. Christine. "You need to come home," she said without preamble. "Now." "I have 2 more meetings tomorrow. Nicole's in the hospital." The world tilted slightly. What happened? "Complications with the pregnancy. She's stable, but—" Christine paused. "She's asking for you." I sat down heavily in one of the lobby's plush chairs. "I can't just drop everything and— Damn it, Sage!" Christine's voice cracked. "This isn't about your revenge anymore. This is about your sister and your niece. How far are you willing to take this?" Before I could respond, another call beeped through. Harvey. "I have to go," I told Christine. I'll think about it." Harvey's news wasn't any better. "Marcus Stewart is backing out of the merger." "What? Why?" "He says the negative publicity isn't worth it. Apparently someone leaked the story about Leon's involvement to the press. It's being spun as corporate espionage." I pressed my fingers to my temples. "How bad is it?" "Bad enough that our stock dropped 12 points this morning," he sighed. "Seg, we need to consider damage control." 4 hours later, I was on a plane back home, my head spinning with possibilities. The merger was supposed to be my masterstroke, the final nail in Leon's professional coffin. Instead, it had backfired spectacularly. I found Christine waiting at the airport. "Before you ask, Nicole's condition has stabilized," she said as we walked to her car. "But there's something else you need to know." She handed me her phone. On the screen was a social media post from Nicole. "To everyone asking about the scandal. Yes, I made mistakes. Yes, I hurt my sister. But destroying our family's legacy isn't the answer. Sage, if you're reading this, please remember who we used to be. Remember Cape Cod." "She posted that from her hospital bed," Christine said quietly. "It's gone viral." I handed the phone back, my hands shaking slightly. "Take me to the hospital." The maternity ward was quiet when we arrived. Leon was slumped in a chair outside Nicole's room, his suit wrinkled, his eyes red. He straightened when he saw me. "Saija, don't." I held up my hand. "Is she awake?" He nodded, stepping aside. Nicole looked small in the hospital bed, monitors beeping steadily around her. She opened her eyes as I approached. "You came," she whispered. Christine can be very persuasive. I sat in the chair beside her bed. "How are you feeling?" Like karma finally caught up with me. She tried to smile, but it came out more like a grimace. "The baby. They say she's under stress." I looked at the monitors, at the steady heartbeat of my unborn niece. "Why did you post that message?" "Because someone had to stop this war." Nicole reached for my hand. I let her take it. "We're destroying everything Dad built, Saij. Is that what you want?" What I wanted was a sister I could trust, a fiancé who loved me. I pulled my hand away. "What I wanted doesn't matter anymore." "It matters to me." She struggled to sit up. "Remember what Mum used to say? Family is family even when they're wrong." "Mum left us," I reminded her. "But we stayed together." Nicole's eyes filled with tears. "Until now." A nurse entered, checking the monitors. "Blood pressure's still high," she murmured. "You need to rest." I stood up. "I should go." "Sage, wait!" Nicole grabbed my wrist. "The company. Dad's legacy. It needs both of us. You know that." Outside the room, Christine was waiting. "Well?" "Call Harvey." I said, pulling out my phone. Tell him to draft a new proposal. Shared leadership of the Asian division, contingent on certain conditions. You're going to work with Leon? No. I looked back at Nicole's room. I'm going to work with my sister. Leon's on his own. As we walked out of the hospital, my phone buzzed with a text from Harvey. Making things right doesn't make you weak. It makes you worthy of the trust your father placed in you. I looked up at the night sky, remembering Cape Cod, remembering promises made and broken. Maybe it was time to make new ones. Christine, I said, let's go get a drink. I need to tell you about my new business plan. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's finding the strength to rebuild what's broken, not for others, but for yourself. The conference room buzzed with tension as I laid out the new contracts. Nicole sat across from me, her baby bump now visible beneath her maternity dress. Harvey stood at the head of the table mediating what had become our most important family meeting. The terms are simple, I said, sliding the papers toward Nicole. You get control of the domestic operations. I maintain the Asian market and international expansion. We make decisions about the company's future together. Nicole skimmed the documents. And Leon is not part of this discussion. I kept my voice firm. This is between us. He's the father of my child, Saj. And that's the only reason he's not facing corporate espionage charges. I leaned back in my chair. Take it or leave it, Nicole. Harvey cleared his throat. Perhaps we should take a break. No, Nicole interrupted, reaching for a pen. I'll sign. As she scrawled her signature across the pages, my phone lit up with a message from Christine. Leon's in the lobby. Says he needs to talk to you both, important. Speaking of the devil, I muttered, showing Nicole the message. She put down the pen. We should hear him out. Fine. I stood up. Harvey, could you... Minutes later, Leon walked in, clutching a manila envelope. He looked worse than at the hospital, unshaven, his clothes slightly rumpled. Make it quick, I said. He pulled out several papers from the envelope. I've been offered a position in Dubai. Nicole's hand flew to her stomach. Dubai? But the baby. I'm not asking you to come with me. He placed the papers on the table. I'm here to sign away my rights. The room fell silent. Even Harvey, who'd seen his share of family drama, looked shocked. What are you talking about? Nicole's voice shook. I'm poison here. Leon ran a hand through his hair. Everything I touch falls apart. The company, our relationship. I need to start fresh. And you both need me gone to heal. I picked up the papers. Legal documents relinquishing any claim to company assets and, more surprisingly, parental rights. You can't be serious, Nicole whispered. I am. He turned to me. You were right, Sage. About everything. I betrayed you, the company, our future, and Nicole. He looked at her, his eyes wet. I ruined your relationship with your sister. I can't fix that while I'm here. So you're running away? I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. That's your solution? I'm giving you both what you need. A clean break. He pulled out a pen. Unless you object. Nicole stood up suddenly, knocking her chair backward. I need some air. As she rushed out, Harvey followed, leaving Leon and me alone. Dubai? I said flatly. That's far. Not far enough, probably. He started signing the papers. For what it's worth, I really did love you, Sage. I just loved myself more. Save the confessions for someone who cares. I gathered the signed documents. You should go. Nicole needs time to process this. He nodded, standing. At the door, he paused. Take care of them? Both of them? Get out, Leon. After he left, I found Nicole in the building's rooftop garden, Christine sitting quietly beside her. He's really leaving, Nicole said as I approached. Looks that way. I sat down on her other side. Are you okay? No. She wiped her eyes. But maybe that's fair. We hurt you so badly. Maybe this is our karma. Christine squeezed her hand and stood up. I'll give you two a minute. Once she was gone, Nicole turned to me. I don't want to do this alone. You won't be. The words surprised me as much as her. You signed the contracts, remember? We're stuck with each other now. She managed a weak laugh. Just like Cape Cod. No. I shook my head. This is different. This is us choosing to be sisters again, not just being born that way. My phone buzzed. Harvey reminding us about the press conference announcing the company's new structure. Ready to face the wolves? I asked, standing and offering her my hand. Nicole took it, letting me help her up. Together? Together. I straightened her dress. But if you ever betray me again, you'll destroy me completely? She attempted a smile. Worse, I'll make you handle all the quarterly reports. As we headed back inside, I felt something shift. Not forgiveness exactly, but maybe understanding. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive isn't the one who hurt you, but yourself for letting them. 3 months passed in a blur of meetings, contracts, and tentative reconciliation. I was reviewing quarterly reports in my office when Harvey burst in, his usual composure shattered. Turn on the news, he said, grabbing the remote. The business channel filled my wall screen and my stomach dropped. There was Leon standing at a podium in Dubai, revealing company secrets to the international press. Systematic manipulation of market data, his voice filled my office. The company's Asian expansion was built on fraudulent numbers. My phone exploded with notifications. Nicole burst into the office, her pregnancy now in its final weeks. Have you seen? I'm looking at it right now. I turned up the volume. Their father knew, Leon continued. He covered it up for years. I have proof. Nicole collapsed into a chair. He's lying. Dad would never… Ms. Sage, Julia rushed in. Marcus Stewart is on line 1, and the SEC just called. I held up my hand for silence, watching Leon pull out documents on screen, documents I'd never seen before with our father's signature clear as day. Harvey, I turned to him. Is this possible? He wouldn't meet my eyes. Your father. He had his ways of doing things. You knew, Nicole's voice cracked, all this time? I suspected. Harvey sat heavily up, but I never had proof. My phone rang again. Christine. Turn on the news, she said when I answered. Already watching. Can you come over? On my way. I turned back to the screen just as Leon dropped his final bomb. And I have evidence that current management knew about these irregularities and chose to continue the deception. That's a lie. Nicole struggled to her feet. We never… She stopped suddenly, grabbing her stomach. Nicole! I rushed to her side. The baby, she gasped. Something's wrong. The next few hours were chaos. While Christine took Nicole to the hospital, Harvey and I dealt with the fallout. The SEC wanted meetings. Shareholders were panicking. Our stock was in freefall. We need to make a statement, Harvey said, pacing my office. Get ahead of this. With what? I gestured at the stack of documents he'd just shown me. Our father built this company on lies. Everything we thought we were protecting. My phone buzzed. Christine. Baby coming. Get here now. Go, Harvey said. I'll handle things here. At the hospital, I found Christine in the waiting room. How is she? In labour. She's asking for you. I followed a nurse to the delivery room. Nicole lay there, pale and scared. Seiji, she reached for my hand. I'm sorry. About everything. About Dad. Stop, I took her hand. That doesn't matter right now. But the company will still be there tomorrow. I squeezed her hand. Right now you have more important things to focus on. Hours later, as dawn broke over the city, my niece entered the world. 6 pounds, 4 ounces of new beginnings. She's perfect, Nicole whispered, cradling her daughter. I watched them from the corner of the room, my phone silently cataloguing the destruction of everything our father built. Harvey had sent preliminary numbers. We'd lost millions in market value. The SEC was launching a formal investigation. Do you want to hold her? Nicole asked. I hesitated, then stepped forward. As I took my niece in my arms, she opened her eyes, bright, innocent, untouched by the sins of her grandfather or the mistakes of her parents. What are you going to name her? I asked. I was thinking, Grace. Nicole watched us carefully. Because that's what we all need right now. My phone buzzed again. Harvey. Press conference in 2 hours. What's our play? Looking down at Grace, I made my decision. We tell the truth, I texted back. All of it. That could destroy everything, he replied. No, I wrote. Lies destroyed everything. The truth might save us. I handed Grace back to Nicole. I have to go handle something, but I'll be back. Sage? Nicole called as I reached the door. Whatever happens with the company, we're still sisters, right? I thought about our father, about his lies and the empire he built on them, about Leon's betrayal and his final act of revenge, about karma and consequences and the tiny baby who deserved better than all of this. Always, I said, but this time we do things differently. No more secrets. No more lies. As I left the hospital, the sun was fully up, painting the sky in shades of new beginnings. Sometimes, I realized, revenge doesn't look like what you expect. Sometimes it looks like truth, like grace, like the courage to tear everything down and build it back up right. The boardroom was packed with reporters as I approached the podium. Nicole sat in the front row, Grace sleeping peacefully in her arms. Harvey stood to my side, his face grim but supportive. Thank you all for coming, I began, my voice steady. Today I want to talk about legacy, not just my father's, but the one we choose to create. Camera shutters clicked rapidly as I pulled out the documents Leon had revealed, along with others he hadn't known about. These papers show systematic fraud spanning 2 decades. My father built this company on deception, and for that, we are deeply sorry. I paused, meeting the eyes of various reporters. But that ends today. I outlined our plan, a complete restructuring, transparent audits, compensation for affected parties. With each detail, I watched the reporters' expressions shift from skepticism to cautious hope. Ms. Sage, a reporter stood up. Sources say you knew about these irregularities. How do you respond? I didn't know, I said firmly. But I should have. My desire for revenge against my sister and against Leon, blinded me to what was happening in my own company. Nicole shifted in her seat, tears streaming down her face. And now? Another reporter called out. What happens to the company? We rebuild, I gestured to Nicole. My sister and I are announcing a complete overhaul of our operations. Every contract, every deal will be reviewed. We're bringing in independent auditors and establishing new oversight measures. And what about Leon? Someone shouted. Will you press charges? No. I saw Nicole's head snap up in surprise. His actions, while devastating, forced us to confront uncomfortable truths. Sometimes, it takes losing everything to see what really matters. After the press conference, Christine found me in my office, packing up my father's old photographs. That was quite a show, she said, picking up a frame. You okay? Getting there. I sat on the edge of my desk. The SEC is being surprisingly cooperative, given our voluntary disclosure. And Nicole, taking Grace home today? I smiled slightly. She asked me to come over for dinner. Will you go? The door opened before I could answer. Nicole walked in, carrying Grace. Sorry to interrupt, she said, but someone wanted to see her aunt before heading home. Christine squeezed my shoulder and slipped out, leaving us alone. That was brave, Nicole said, sitting down. What you did in there. It was necessary. I reached out to touch Grace's tiny hand. She deserves better than what Dad left us. We all do. Nicole shifted Grace to her other arm. I got a message from Leon. My hand froze. What did he want? To apologize, actually. He said watching you handle everything with such grace made him realize what he lost. She looked up at me. He's not coming back. Good. I stood up, walking to the window. The city stretched out below, unchanged despite our world turning upside down. You know this won't be easy, right? Rebuilding everything? Nothing worth doing ever is. Nicole joined me at the window. Remember what Mom used to say about storms? It's not about waiting for them to pass, I quoted. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Well, Nicole adjusted Grace's blanket, I'd say we're in for quite a dance. My phone buzzed. Harvey with updates about our major clients. Most were staying, impressed by our transparency. A few had jumped ship, but surprisingly, Marcus Stewart wasn't one of them. He says he respects how we handled things, Harvey's message read. Wants to discuss a legitimate merger when the dust settles. I showed Nicole the message. What do you think? Ready to build something real this time? Together? She smiled, reminding me of summers in Cape Cod, of promises made and broken and made again. Together. I touched Grace's cheek gently. For her. As the sun set over the city, casting long shadows through the office windows, I realized something profound. Revenge hadn't given me what I wanted. Peace had come from facing the truth, from choosing to break cycles instead of perpetuating them. Take her, Nicole said suddenly, holding out Grace. I need to use the bathroom. This time I didn't hesitate. As I held my niece, she opened her eyes and grabbed my finger with surprising strength. Hey there, little one, I whispered. Welcome to the family business. Don't worry, we're doing things differently now. Grace gurgled in response, and for the first time in months, I felt truly, completely at peace. Sometimes karma isn't about getting even, it's about getting better. And sometimes, the best revenge is choosing not to seek it at all.